council meeting to the order. Now it's 5 p.m. We start with the flag salute. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Item 2, do we have any employee communication? Okay. Item number 3, public comment. We have 2 comment cards. Each speaker has 3 minutes. The first one is Stacy. Oh. Stephanie?
Okay.
Please speak your name when you start to speak.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Singer. Up until this year, I had children at Montclair and Cupertino Middle. And this year, I have just got one at Cupertino Middle at one Homestead. So we've got 3 more years in the district. I've been working with the Safe Routes to School program for many years now with Stacy and now happily much larger group. We're really looking forward to infrastructure improvements, collaboration between the 5 jurisdictions that our children traverse to get from our neighborhood school to our middle school of assignment, which is Cupertino Middle School. And in the meantime, we would like to see busing and more happily energy efficient, eco-friendly busing applied to areas that are impacted by congestion and multiple jurisdiction bureaucracy that it slows down the improvements necessary to ensure a safe route to school and end-to-end protected bike lanes and whatnot, which would encourage bike travel and lessen traffic for the West Valley Elementary, Cupertino Middle, Homestead High School, and Montclair neighborhoods. In addition, recently where there was a traffic incident between a driver and a pedestrian, and this is the 3rd, I think, in 3 years. Oh, higher, well, 3rd that I know of. Stacy will correct me when she comes up. So just earlier this week, we had yet another child on the Homestead corridor and the path between Montclair and Homestead High, injured, being impacted by a vehicle. So in the meantime, we would like to get our children onto buses and safely to school so that they can focus on learning and not about fear of traverse. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. The next one is Stacy.
Good evening. Thank you for continuing to put the bus-related items on the agenda of the board. I think the bus is a big priority, and we've definitely, from our community, asked for a bus over a year and a half ago to take the children to the middle school. Don't want to rehash all that ask here, but I just want to say research shows the bus is the safest way to get kids to school, and the district has a responsibility in getting kids to school. We can't just say, come to get to our front door. The traffic is just really bad. So the other values of the bus are they reduce congestion, it's environmentally responsible of us, and it's sustainable, and especially if we switch to buses that are operated electrically or with CNG. And the other thing about the bus, it's all weather, and finally, it can be cost efficient at scale. And I want to drill into that last point a little bit more, because I haven't shared all that with the board before. Chris Jew had once given me a contact for a direct-to-parent student busing service called, I think, Student Transportation Incorporated. And we got a proposal from them to take students from the Montclair area to Cupertino Middle School. Essentially, and I'm happy to share that proposal, it can net out to a profitable service with a full capacity bus, $1,893 per school year per rider this school year. And if we look at what the district is saying the costs are, I think $1,554, and a year before it was said that was $1,227. But anyway, this $1,893 figure that's for a single route. So if we look at putting the bus on 2 routes, we could divide that in half and get that down to $946.50 plus fuel. Now, of course, these are not apples and oranges comparison, but the real point here is I believe busing can be economical at scale. And then if we throw in field trips and use our buses and our drivers for field trips and continue to charge parents, you know, a fee for a field trip, these figures for the per student ridership can get down really low. I think the other thing that's important for us to look at as a district is let's look at where supply meets demand, because still there's a big gap in these raising of costs that's over $300 or so from those couple of years. And I'm wondering if that's because the prices have gone up on elementary areas and people feel it's too expensive and the elementary school's close enough and my kid's really little and I want to take them over there. Whereas in middle school, they're more independent, routes are farther away, and as Stephanie said, they can cross expressways, RDL roads, local streets, state roads, and we want our students to be more independent, to get there safely, and we can really use your help doing it. I hope this grant will help us get there. So thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. That's conclude our item number 3. Let's move on to number 4, discussion 4.1. I want to transit to Craig for this.
Yeah, and in a second, I'll turn it over to some combination of Kevin and Jeff, but I did just want to state for knowledge and transparency, the reason we added this special meeting is simply that we have a board protocol that says that before we'll take action on items like this and others, we'll always have given the community a chance to weigh in and the board to have at least one discussion before taking action. There's a time on sensitivity on this. We have to do it at the next meeting. So for us to take action next week, we wanted to make sure there was that opportunity today, which is why we're doing it right now. I recognize it's probably a pretty quick and easy item here, but we thought it was better to at least have that public discussion before, or have the discussion publicly before bringing it next week. So that's the backdrop to it. And do you have anything to add, Jeff, before?
Yeah, no, thank you. And thank you for holding the special meeting tonight, because I don't think there's a lot of opportunities where grants come along the way that it feels like we actually have a chance. For a lot of times, we aren't able to leverage those opportunities just because we don't hit that criteria that everyone is looking for. With this one, as Travis, Kevin, and I were looking at it, this was an opportunity we could have passed up, and we think that we have more of a chance to qualify. Why we're bringing it before you today, and there is time sensitivity with it. The other piece that we thought was important, and Kevin's going to start us off in a minute with, is we want to give you guys a little bit of an update on our energy management as a whole right now, because it certainly ties back to the bus that we're looking at, or especially when you get to the situation that Travis will hit on. So Kevin's going to start off. We have about 3 slides of updates for you, completed projects, future projects that we have coming up. We're going to turn over Travis, and then we'll take any questions that you guys have at the end of that, if that's okay with you guys. Great. So Kevin Jenkins, let him take over. Thank you.
How come you're not dressed funny?
This is funny.
Oh, this is funny. Oh, got it.
He has his badge, Phyllis, underneath.
Thanks, Jeff. What I wanted to talk about tonight is our Proposition 39, those projects that you'll see. And I just want to refresh everybody's memory that Proposition 39 is a state proposition that the state of California has given, allocated money to K through 12 schools for energy efficiency projects. And they do have to meet a certain criteria. We can't just do anything. It has to be a savings to investment ratio. So let me get started. So what we've got completed to date is Murdoch Portables, some interior lighting upgrades, Montclair GLC interior lighting upgrades. These are well overdue. We've identified projects in our energy efficiency plan, and these are 2 projects that actually our staff brought to my attention that we needed to upgrade because the GLC at Montclair was very dark. And if we're going to replace the lights, let's do it now with LED efficient lights. So all the lighting you'll see tonight is LED efficient lighting. Stevens Creek, the admin, and 10 classrooms, interior, exterior lights have been upgraded. Cupertino Middle School, 24 classrooms. Those last 2 projects were under the modernization program. So, but they're going to be under the Prop 39 funding for it. Under contract and projects coming up. The garage and warehouse. I don't know if you've been by. The roof of the warehouse now is white. It's a cool roof. And what's really, actually, this is my part of my job I enjoy, is now our employees in there are saying, you know what, we feel it's cooler in here. Because it's a metal building. When it's 100 degrees outside, it's about 115 inside. And they are, you know, at first they were skeptical, but now we have a cool roof on it. It reflects all the heat. Now they're telling me, you know, they kind of joke, now in the summer I might have to put a jacket on in the morning because it's cooler. But the other two pieces of that is insulation. We're going to be putting white backing insulation at the roof line, and then all new LED interior lights for that. Because right now that area is dark, it's like a cave, and it's going to pop, and it's going to be, I think the employees are going to really enjoy it. Middle school gym interior lighting upgrade project. All the middle school gyms will have their 400 watt metal halides replaced with LED fixtures that are half that. So we're instant savings. Exterior lighting upgrades, Stockholmeyer, Faria, Eisenhower, Lincoln, and Nimitz. The last three here, we're under contract with Sylvania Lighting Solutions to do this work. So it's coming up and we're gonna be doing it. And then also the interior, exterior lighting upgrades at Stevens Creek. You saw Stevens Creek before under modernization. What I wanna do is have one complete school where all of the lights are gonna be LED fixtures, interior and exterior. Then I can come back to you guys and show you actual test case and show what we're saving in real terms from one of our schools so we can move forward with more LEDs. Planning stages. Lawson water heater boiler replacement. Years ago, we had a 3,000 gallon boiler in there because middle school students were going to be taking showers. Well, middle school students don't take showers. So basically, we have a 3,000 gallon boiler in there for the coaches and the staff. So we're going to be replacing that and getting that offline. Direct actually is a mistake. It's demand control ventilation. We're going to be installing those. Vending miser installation. Those are they don't shut our vending machines down. They basically turn them off for 2 hours, then turn them back on, turn them off. They cycle through the compressor that saves us energy. Those three items are going to be performed, the work is going to be performed by our staff. And a side note is I did apply for a grant from Silicon Valley Energy Watch, so we're receiving over $31,000 that we can apply to the labor for those three projects to pay for our staff to do it. Additional school site projects, kind of the phase 2 after the Sylvania, is we're going to hit all exterior LED lighting and some HVAC replacement when we can. This is the future, and my future, and I'm enjoying this. We're doing some things that I've wanted to do for a while. Commercial industrial waste applications. By state, we're mandated to become zero waste. So we're partnering with, now that we call them CIWA, and they have a program that we're going out to all of our schools, and we're going to be putting in recycling, composting, educating students, staff, custodial staff, and it's already in place. We're doing it, and so far, we've gotten really positive responses from some of our principals that we've been working with. The expected savings will be 25 to 30%. The second one is, Dr. Baker asked me to look at electrical vehicle charging stations, and that's something we wanted to look at. So we're exploring that right now as far as at all of our school sites. We're getting ready to send out a survey to see what the staff's interest is in that to help with their commute. There are several programs which I've been exploring that will provide funding for that, the installation and infrastructure of the EV stations, as well as, you know, we just have to see what's the best fit for our district. Some require a certain amount of EV charging stations at every site to be economical. We don't know if that's going to fit with all of our sites, but we're exploring all the options and seeing what's best for us. That's it.
Just add on to what Kevin was saying there, you know, I think as you look at these projects, you know, the first thing is we are showing and demonstrating to our students of us being good stewards in the community and what it means to be eco-friendly and what it means to contribute. The other piece of it that Kevin hit on is the benefit for our employees, and we're always looking for ways that we can provide benefits to our employees that can't always be salary related. And the third part of this there is a cost savings with this. And we do believe, and Kevin and I've had a lot of conversation around this, around Stevens Creek could be a pretty good case study for us to see the potential cost savings in the future for all 25 of our school sites. So really, when we're looking at these projects that Kevin's working on, Travis will hit on parts of it too, there really are 3 areas we're hitting on. And I just want to make sure we're all aware of those three key areas. We will turn over Travis.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Baker and members of the board. A short while back, we discovered there was opportunity for a clean air grant for electric school buses through the California Energy Commission. So I looked over the grant application guidelines and the scoring matrix to see if it would benefit us to make application for this grant. The scoring criteria weighed about 20% toward a free and reduced lunch count, which we don't have a high percentage of. We don't really compete in that area against Bakersfield, Merced, anything up and down the valley. So I reached out to the commission and I asked them, well, is there value for us to still make application here, or are we just going to get beat by everyone down the valley? And they explained to me that there's 4 zones for this application, and we compete in what is the northern zone, so the Bay Area schools. So 70% of the scoring criteria is based off of age of the bus. In our district, we have 5 school buses still in service that were purchased in 1990. It's a long time ago. And so, so those 5, you never know if you're going to get the grant or not, because it's based on how many people apply and how many people still have a serviceable bus that's that old. In this case, the bus has to be in your ownership for greater than a year, and it has to have a current 292 certification. You have to actually be able to drive the bus. I'm assuming that in years past, people would see a grant, they'd run to the junkyard and get 6 buses and go, well, we'll trade these in, because you do have to trade it in within 12 months of receiving the new bus. So we're in the process of, or I'm in the process of filling out the grant application. It does require a resolution, which is presented for first reading this evening. The deadline for the application is September 20th. Apologize, it's on me. I probably could have jumped on this just a little bit sooner and got it to a regular board meeting. That's on me. So I apologize for that. But it looks like we have the 5 that are 1990, we have 4 that are 1999, and 1 that is 2000. You can only get a max of 10, so we didn't go ahead and list anything beyond the 10 oldest buses. I will be attending a one-day seminar in San Diego with regard to this matter. It's the date the application is actually due, on the 20th. Excuse me. Unfortunately, I know a few of the people on the commission because I served on the legislative advisory committee with them, and so excuse me, hopefully we'll get some insight there as well. The application is due in September. Notice of award is going to be late winter, early spring. With each bus that you're awarded, if it's electric bus, you're also awarded a grant of $60,000 per bus for charging station infrastructure. Spoke with our site electrician, Mitch, and he indicated he felt we had plenty of capacity there at the operation. A bit of a chore, but we could get the power and get those juiced up. And so with that, the resolution's before you. We can bring it back for adoption at the regular board meeting next week, and I'd be happy to answer.
Before we discuss this item, do we have any clarifying questions?
Just questions of,
Just a question. Okay, so let's start the discussion.
I just wanted to ask you if we have the infrastructure to put let's presume we get it. So would you also recommend to go solar on the site where you have these buses charging, so that would that work in the infrastructure, the money to use for set up the charging station?
That's a great idea, and it's possible in our bus yard because we have enough parking lot, the canopy structures, much like the high school district did with their solar. So that's a great idea, and we could certainly look into that. And it's 60,000 per is a pretty heavy number, because unless you're running conduit, 200 yards, more than enough money to put in infrastructure.
I think the yard that the city of Cupertino has, they did put a charging station like that. That may be some place that you could look into if that seems to be a possibility. So how many buses we have and how many of them are electric right now? So we don't
Have
have a,
around 40 buses and none are
No.
electric. They're all diesel.
Then
It's-
how, so do we have skills for maintenance? How much are we expecting that would the skills transfer to
Oh.
maintaining a electric bus?
For the training, there's also training involved with this grant. So if you are awarded buses and you don't have electric buses, you can send your mechanical team in for training on maintenance and operation of the bus.
And in terms of maintenance cost, I guess for new ones, probably not as much, just long term. What will be the lifetime of an electric bus and versus and then the maintenance cost versus regular?
That's a good question. I could
Just want to know.
I could research and get back
electric,
to you.
of course, is better, but I just want to have an idea.
Yeah, I could research that and get back to you with this staff memo.
I do not. I think that Anjali and Liang asked my questions. Thank you.
I have one question. So if we are going to set up the charging station, is that going to be several places or just in our bus parking lot?
I think it would depend on how much infrastructure you could get for 60,000 per bus. So if it actually costs you 60,000 per bus, then it would be just for those buses. Say we got 5 from the 1990s, and we could put in 5 and 5 charge stations. But if it turns out we do one big long run, and say hypothetically, we got 5 buses and we got $300,000 awarded for charging stations, and we could do the 5 for 150,000, maybe we could just continue on our work in collaboration with Kevin and continue on that same run, and that could be a charging station for if we had future district vehicles that were electric. Dr. Baker was over there, and Lowe, I don't know how many district employees run electric cars, truthfully, but I think we could maximize that money for that specific purpose.
Yeah, that's all I have. Any other questions?
So the grant is $60,000 per bus.
Just for the infrastructure
the
to charge the bus.
Oh, just the infrastructure for charge the
Yes,
bus.
the grant will,
Then is that enough to pay for the entire infrastructure, or we need to pay some extra beyond the 60,000?
according to the California Energy Commission, you should be able to put a charging station per bus at a rate of $60,000. I haven't done any line item research on that. And then a lot of it has to do with variables. Does your electrical panel have enough capacity in it, or do you need to upgrade the panel? How long do you need to run conduit? Or are you going to do a shade structure with solar on top? It depends on the mechanism you're going to use to charge these vehicles.
So the plug is comparable with the regular electric car. We can use the charging station for other vehicles we might have.
I think that the ones that they grant us would be set up for a bus, and then I think the idea would be if we could go further than that with the 300,000, we would put perhaps, no decision's been made, but perhaps we would do something that would make sure we could charge regular vehicles. I'm not certain. I don't know a lot about electric vehicles. I came from Merced, where it's not practical there. They may do CNG. Here it's very practical, very short runs, a very urban area, and it's clean air, and gosh, could we use it.
Come back, if you don't mind, with more information about that, because we are working on a plan with PG&E and others to put in infrastructure for vehicles, and we'll come back and talk to you about that at another time, because it's actually a different thing from the buses.
Julie, do you have a question?
I just want to confirm, so this grant, if we get, is going to be enough for the bus plus the infrastructure that is needed for electric buses. So theoretically, it'll cover all our expenses and we'll get new 5 or 6 or 10 new buses.
Correct, as many as 10, and like I said, it'll hinge on number of applicants and people who have qualifying buses. Hard to imagine people have, maybe they do, buses older than 1990, but I think Michael Jackson was still #1.
Okay, 1990 was not that long ago. I reached my limit with you.
With that, I'll wrap it up.
I have one more question. What do you think the timeline is for when these grants will be awarded, or did you say that and I missed it?
Yeah, they're tentatively, I think they're going to notice of award February, March. And I think, we move very fast in California, so maybe next June, somewhere in that timeline. It always seems to change, these deadlines seem to change.
So we could conceivably have, if we got the grant, have buses in operation in the fall?
All of 19, it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Just a question, are we okay just bringing this on consent next week, or would you like it as an action item separate?
I'm good with consent,
I am too, it's clear to me we need this.
Yep.
Yeah.
and it's a great way
Bring it
to
on
get
consent then.
buses without costing us.
Thank you.
So I will conclude this meeting and meeting adjourned at 5:25.